What's going on, Dolphins fans? It's Connor from the Dolphins Dive, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the upcoming matchup, Miami Dolphins versus New York Giants, this Sunday. I'm going to give you my breakdown of what I think is going to happen, offense versus their defense, our defense versus their offense, and then a final prediction. First and foremost, comment down below. What do you think the final score is going to be? I'm going to give mine at the end of the video, but without further ado, we're going to hop right into today's video, starting with our offense versus their defense. Now, the Giants had high expectations coming into this year. Last year, they had very low expectations, and their coaching staff did a phenomenal job and got them to play at a much higher level than people thought. So they thought more of the same was going to happen this year. They got an influx of talent with guys like Darren Waller, and they drafted some young guys as well, and it just hasn't materialized yet. But they're still going to look to get that back on track, and they're definitely not someone to underlook because, like I mentioned, their coaching staff is what made them good last year, and it looks like it's what's making them bad this year, but I feel like they're going to get it to turn around at some point, but this ain't their week. Let's be real. So Dolphins offense is first in points per game still, despite the bad loss to the Bills. Giants defense is 29th in points allowed. Dolphins are first in passing yards per game. Giants are 15th in passing yards allowed. Dolphins are first in rushing yards per game. Giants are 25th in rushing yards allowed. I mean, Dolphins are first in all three main categories. That's kind of hilarious. First offensive key, and it's something the Dolphins should have done last week, and Mike McDaniel did mention he abandoned it a little too soon. Stick with the run. I mean, we don't need to pass the ball as much as we do. I know we have the great weapons, but let's just keep things within our control. Just time management, ball control. That's all we have to do, because obviously we can go up and down the field probably on most teams, but let's establish the run and be able to lean on that early and often, because it makes everyone's life easier. When you are forced to pass the ball 40, 50 times, there's just more unnecessary variables. And against this style of defense, this is the best bet because of how Wink Martindale likes to play defense. He likes to be extremely aggressive, and to be fair, he likes to be extremely aggressive, and the way that we've handled that kind of defense thus far, we've been able to handle it pretty well, especially with the speed that we have. You want to blitz, we throw behind the blitz, and it's a slant for 80 yards. You know what I mean? So, and if they do play one safety over top, then it is going to be extremely tempting to pass. But what I'm saying, for the most part, if they're playing two safeties high, do not throw on it when we can run on it, because we're a very good running team, as displayed by first in rushing yards per game, which is skewed due to the one game. I am so aware of that, but the Dolphins are a much better running team than they are last year, and they have to be able to just establish the run and be comfortable with that. We don't need to pass if we don't have to. Like, make them stop the run first, and we already know the kind of passing offense we have. And the second key is do what you do, which is just the style of offense we're running. It obviously works. I just want McDaniel to consistently run the ball, because he likes to go away from it sometimes, and I just don't think it's necessary sometimes. It makes everyone's life easier when you just run the ball. End of story. And then beat the blitz and protect the rock. Like I mentioned, Wink Martindale is known for being a blitz-heavy guy, so being able to throw behind the blitz and just getting the ball to his hands fast, which is obviously something he excels in tremendously, and then just protecting the ball. No interceptions, no fumbles. Obviously, that burnt us last game. When they are blitzing, I mean, pressure does burst pipes. It forces quicker decisions, and in those instances, it could lead to bad decision-making. Obviously, Tua has actually been very good against the blitz throughout his career, so I'm not overly worried about it, but it's always a lingering thing that can happen. And it's something that Mike McDaniel did mention in a presser this week, is when you're one of the top units in the league, every team's going to try to approach you in a different way, which is difficult because you don't necessarily know what to prepare for until you see it. Obviously, every team has their core of what they do, but when you're very good, not many things work, so they just try different things to see what might work. So obviously, you have to be aware of that, but just protecting the football, play ball control. We have such explosive players that we can just consistently just not have to be risky with the football, run the ball consistently, and just operate our normal style of offense, and the explosive are just going to happen with the kind of guys we have. But some players to watch for the Giants defense, like I said, they're underperforming, but they still are a solid unit. Dexter Lawrence is one of the best defensive linemen in all of football. He's their nose tackle, so praying to baby Jesus that we have Connor Williams back and it's not Liam Eichenberg. Next is Deonte Banks, the rookie out of Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. He's had a solid rookie season for them thus far, and just a nice guy to look out for. He's a young, up-and-coming guy. It's always cool to see that young, fresh talent. But it's going to be a long day for him, if I had to guess, covering the guys that we got. Bobby Okereke coming over from the Colts. I loved him coming out of Stanford, and now he's on the Giants. One of my best friends is a Giants fan, so I got some intel on just the kind of the good players that are working for them. But he's been a sure tackler for them in the middle, and we could potentially see him blitzing. That's just, like I said, what they do. Azeez Ojulari, an underrated pass rusher for them. His main concern is that he can't stay on the field due to injury, but when he's on the field, he has been effective. And when he's on the field, it makes Kayvon Thibodeau play better because there's probably less attention paid to him as well. So that pass rush tandem of Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau, something to watch out for. They're obviously not the best pass rushers we've seen, but they're still good players nonetheless. Hopefully Austin Jackson continues his solid season. I posted a short this week of him putting someone on their ass, and we ran behind him for a touchdown. The growth he's shown is tremendous. Hopefully he keeps that up. And then obviously we have Kendall Lamb on the left side. Teron Armstead is on the injured reserve, so hopefully Kendall Lamb picks up where he left off when Teron Armstead was out, because he was looking really good. Now on to the Giants' offense versus our defense, which most Dolphins fans, myself included, has been very disappointed in. I want to make note of, every team, when you undergo scheme change, you don't usually see the fruits of that labor initially. It takes time to gel, and it's frustrating, and it is concerning, because how long can you say that until it clicks or it doesn't click? But with Vic Fangio's prowess, I feel like you kind of just have to trust that at some point it's going to work out. But starting with the stats, Giants offense is 31st in points per game. Dolphins defense is 28th, so both not very good units. Giants are 30th in passing yards per game. Dolphins are 25th in passing yards allowed. Giants are 22nd in rushing yards per game. Dolphins are 21st in rushing yards allowed. So both units are around the same spot statistically. They've underperformed both of these teams. But first key of the game, stop the run. Saquon Barkley is questionable, but nonetheless, this offense has been pretty measly for them. If you're able to give them an inch in the run game, they're just going to continue to run the ball on us because, like I said, their pass protection has been pretty rough. I don't think they want to test that out. And if you give them the ability to just consistently run the ball for 3 or 4 yards a carry, I think they're going to take it. So you have to be able to establish that you can stop the run and force them into passing downs, and that's when we can really feast. Get after the quarterback is my second key for the defense. I was very disappointed in the lack of production from guys like Bradley Chubb, Christian Wilkins. I think I was overly harsh. I want to make that clear. It's kind of reaction from the loss, but this is the time to see them have success. Obviously, they let up 11 sacks, I believe, to the Seahawks, and obviously the Dolphins aren't going to get 11 sacks. The Giants are going to come up with a different game plan. I'm sure they're going to fix some of the protection issues that they had. But you just want to see, and back to my frustration with Wilkins and Chubb, Josh Allen did, watching the tape back, he did get the ball out pretty fast majority of the time. But if Daniel Jones is holding onto the ball, I want to see one of those guys that are trying to get top contracts or is on a top contract to get after the quarterback. But some players to watch for the Giants offense, it's like a well-rounded unit, but they don't have a lot of top-heavy players. Obviously, Saquon Barkley, if healthy, is one of the top backs in the league. Daniel Jones has had a bad season so far, but he's a solid quarterback. He's going to kind of just take what the defense gives him, but you also have to watch out for his legs. It's always a threat. And then Darren Waller has been disappointing for them so far. He was a ton of hype in the preseason and training camp, and it just hasn't materialized yet on Sundays, but I'm sure at some point it's going to start clicking for them. And then for receivers, they have a slew of receivers. None of them are top-tier guys, but they just have a lot of different style guys. Jalen Hyatt, Paris Campbell, Darius Slayton, long list of different guys. None of them are crazy talented, but they can make plays kind of deal. Wan'Dale Robinson, too, forgot to mention him. But overall, on paper, the Dolphins are better on both sides of the ball. I'm looking for the Dolphins to kind of have a rebound defensively, and hopefully this is a game where we can get things to click. But once again, Giants are no pushover. They might not be the most talented team on paper, and they might have been coming off some rough games, but last year showed that they're a well-coached team. I got a lot of respect for Brian Dable. So I don't think this is as much of a pushover as some fans may expect. But I do predict the Dolphins to win 34-21. Like I mentioned in the beginning, comment down below. What are you think the score is going to be? So my overall record prediction so far, I'm 3-1 on the season. And dating back to last season, 14-7, picking the winners of the game. Appreciate you guys for watching. It means a lot to me. Check out the Dolphins Dive for the best Dolphins merch out there. And until next time, I'll catch y'all.